All right, so I think we can get started now. We've been hearing you guys about the feedback from the marketplace. We've been updating, working to update, and those updates will be out soon. I think Vish can talk a little bit about the updates that we've been working on for the marketplace.
Yeah, sure. So, we are aware of all the issues. We focused on, sorry guys, on functionality first. So we wanted to have as much functionality, and you guys were waiting for it, so we wanted to roll that out. Um, you know, there is a new version which isn't going to be very from an aesthetic point of view, but it's going to have like under the hood like improvements. So improved performance. Oh man, I'm not the only one sick. Sorry about that. So improved performance and loading times. There'll be like a slightly improved UI with a pagination feature as well. So that will avoid the list from being too big as well. There's a highest price sort option as well, so you can see the ceiling. So not only the floor price, but the ceiling price as well, which is quite handy. Um, when you buy an NFT, you'll be able to see a link to the Snow Trace transaction, which I think is really cool because you'll be able to verify where it came from. And a few UI bugs as well related to the wallet connectivity, which right now is lacking. There are reports that people have had to refresh the page after connecting their wallets and stuff like that. So there will be a slight improvement on that front as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I think Sadim has the numbers on how much we have already made on commission, like the Treasury has made in commissions. If you want to share that detail, that's very exciting.
Yes, so in the last 6 days since we had released the marketplace and started collecting royalties, we have actually generated over 8 grand, just within the last 6 days of royalties and our own marketplace as well.
That's awesome. That's very awesome. That's without any type of advertising, just putting it on here. And again, that's all money for the Treasury, which is better for the ecosystem. Okay, we heard you guys. One of you guys suggested that we do a bot on Discord that tells you the floor price. That's being worked on. It's almost ready. We're looking at releasing that tomorrow. So it'll be to the right where the AVAX price is, just the floor price of the legendary keys. So that's pretty exciting. Another thing you guys been talking about, everything we have done to this day to stay ahead of other DaaS protocols, finding issues and finding the solutions before we actually have to deal with them, and adding new features to an ecosystem comes with new challenges. This is something that we've been working on. And there's like some concern in the community about legendary keys and like yield keys in as a whole, and how can we keep the buying pressure over time. Some of you have suggested that we do some sort of a decay, reward decay, and that makes sense, but that's not something we're looking to do. That decays to zero. That's what I'm talking about. ValiFi aims to be here for the next decade, and we would like to propose a new rewards plan for you guys. Obviously, this is better done now so that everyone who is getting into ValiFi knows what they're getting into. We will have a vote. Again, we are community based, and you guys have the final decision on what we do. So I think by Sunday we will have a vote talking about the changes that we thought are very good. Seeing what other influencers are telling other DaaS protocols to do, like some reward tapering or something like that. So we're seeing this issue they're facing, and again, we want to stay steps ahead. And if we can prevent those issues from happening to us before we launch, I think that just talks more to the sustainability of this protocol over other protocols. I hope every single investor here is in for the long run, because that's basically our goal, is to be here for 10, 20, 30 years, and just keep evolving the ValiFi ecosystem as a whole, to be able to, sustain that amount of time. So we encourage everyone to think long-term with reason and logic and not with emotions. And we will be hosting this poll basically in the polls channel over on Sunday. That's where it will be released. But for basically the three options that you guys will have is for rewards of yield boxes. We will be, so number one is just keeping the yield box rewards at 0.1. Option two, which is the team's choice, is keeping 0.1 for the first 100 days. So you guys can ROI in the same time as before. And then on just cutting rewards in half to 0.05. Similar, the same reward that Hive has, which is doubles sustainability as a whole. And then the third final option will be 0.05 Valley per day from each yield box. But again, that's more sustainability, but obviously it extends your ROI period to 200 days instead of 100. So the team's choice is number two. So yield boxes 0.1 Valley for the first 100 days. You can ROI, and then 0.05 Valley for the next from there on. So all the profit is just 0.05. Again, this is down to a vote. You guys can vote, and if you guys want to keep the 0.1, we'll keep it. We'll work with it. But if we're really truly thinking long term, it's gonna get kind of crazy after a little bit. There's bear markets. We see what happened with Strong, and this is why we're taking these changes. We're proposing these changes. We're not making them. So it's really down to the community and what they vote. Again, I encourage everyone to think long term and not think short term. We hope that everyone here is in for the long term, and you're not. I know you guys like change brings emotions out. That's why we're pushing the vote out till Sunday. And we will have like the whole week so people can because that's a big thing. Like if for some reason we would have to cut rewards in the future, I know that will impact more the protocol as a whole, and people will get mad, and people like once you start making money and then they cut your rewards, I think that's a worse plan if we had to cut rewards, right? So I think by just introducing this now as an option and you guys can vote on it, it just makes it clear to everyone who's coming in and they expect what they expect. It's not gonna be like in the middle of the thing, we can just cut rewards like crazy. Again, it's a community vote. You guys will have the final say. We are community driven. So just please vote with like whatever, with like long term and reason and logic in your head instead of emotions. But that vote and that whole explanation will be up in the polls. And this is something a lot of people have suggested to us in the community. People who own legendary keys have messaged us privately, and they want to see this type of vote go on just to see what we can do to further sustain the ecosystem. I personally, I would much rather get half the rewards and have it last 3 times longer than to get the rewards for, a shorter period of time. Yes, I think it's better to propose it now and get it out of the way instead of it later once we're launched, because that impacts the price of the coin, and then it might be a huge drop, and it's just not good, I guess. So yeah, that poll will be out on Sunday. I encourage everyone to think long term. Again, we're providing an option that the team feels very comfortable with. It's like you still get your ROI the same time as before. It's just your profits, it's 0.05 from there on. So it's not, it doesn't affect your ROI period in terms of Valley tokens. Again, this will be up on Sunday, and it'll be up for, I think, the whole week. So you guys can vote. I encourage everyone, if you want to listen to this AMA again and understand it and see the impact of your decision, we're giving the community the chance to keep the 0.1 because it's only fair. We don't want to corner you guys. Again, we're working for you, so we see your best interest. But just be careful with what you vote and the effects that it has on the future, because this is a pivotal vote right now. Okay, so in terms of simplification, Last AMA, we had Jive, I think, come up and talk about that the protocol is very complicated and this and that. And we took a deep look into yield keys, and we're simplifying yield keys. This will make it better and just easier for everyone to understand. So yield keys from now on will not talk about wallet space. There's no such thing as wallet space. The only thing yield keys does is activate yield boxes. That's it. That's all it does. So if you have a yield key of 4, it can activate 4 yield boxes to make you money. You can still compound. Those yield keys will not be, those yield boxes will not be making money as of right now. We are next AMA, I think like next Friday, we will announce the incentives as to why compound if you don't have a yield key. But when we brought up the whole thing about yield keys, some of you raised the concern that, hey, might increase selling pressure when the price of a yield key is too expensive on the secondary market or something like that. So we're trying to find ways that people can still use their Vali token and not just dump it, So you're going to be able to compound infinitely. But again, the number of active yield boxes are capped by the amount of yield keys there are. So at the end of the day, we are still controlling the growth. The protocol is controlling its own growth by how many yield boxes it has to pay out. But the amount of yield boxes that we can have in the protocol can be basically endless, which would make the whole protocol more sustainable at the end of the day. So we are simplifying yield keys. Again, all these changes are going to be on the white paper. We have already updated the white paper. It's already out. We just did it a couple minutes ago. So you guys will be able to talk about, to read over the changes that we're making. And the final point, which is the most interesting one, is that we're making a shift in ValiFi as a whole. We're shifting from relying only on investments, as we had seen. Those are not really that reliable all the time. We saw was strong what happened. We're still compounding. I think we're up to like 31 nodes right now. Since it's down, we don't see the point of taking money out. So we're just compounding like crazy before they limit the amount of Ethereum nodes. So we're shifting away from only investing, and we want to create a whole ecosystem. So ValiFi will now focus on creating a whole ecosystem, and the main purpose of this ecosystem is to to sustain the payment of yield boxes. Similar to what Terra has, that they created this whole blockchain and ecosystem to maintain the peg of UST to the dollar. We're going to do something like that, but just to maintain the payments of the yield boxes. So it's not only going to be investments, it's going to be creating software. There's a lot of space that we can grow in the AVAX network blockchain. So ValiFi as a whole will be taking a lot of parts in that, increasing AVAX as a whole and making it better, and providing different services, like an NFT marketplace and stuff like that. Just different things that we can do to increase protocol utility. So there's a new section on our white paper that you guys can look at. It's called the ValiFi ecosystem, and it explains the big picture a little bit. And then it talks about the 3 different utilities that we're going to have, right? So we have token utility, which is basically increasing the use of Vali tokens. So you can use the Vali token in more things. That's something we're going to work on. That's why we're doing the lottery and different things. And then protocol utility is different. It doesn't utilize the Vali token, but it generates money outside and brings that money into the Treasury to do the buybacks. So that's the whole point, increasing protocol utility and token utility, and also increasing investments. So we're doing this shift after what we've seen with the bear market and the investments that we have done as a community. We just want a way to sustain this whole thing. So this whole ValiFi ecosystem will be just to sustain the yield box payout. So I think this makes ValiFi a lot more sustainable as a whole, as we do not rely on what the market does. We rely on providing services And again, all these services will be owned, all these dApps protocols will be owned by the ValiFi DAO. So you guys will have a say in what we do. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. The ValiFi ecosystem, it's just going to revolutionize everything, and it's going to make ValiFi so much more sustainable, especially during the bear market. When the investments are not doing very well, we cannot only rely on investments. We need to rely on token utility, on protocol utility. And again, all these changes are already on the white paper if you want to look at it. It's called the ValiFi ecosystem, and it explains a little bit more everything. All right, we can bring Crypto TN.